Hi and welcome to Onside SA, the soccer show that tells you what's going on. And we've got a call going through to Stevie B. We'll be speaking to him because his beloved Fulham play this weekend. We've got the Champions League final. We're going to give you a bit of a recap on some games. Budge, looks interesting.
Yep, big weekend, especially for Liverpool fans, yeah.
But before we get Stevie B on the line, I don't know if your legion of fans know that you've got a ticket in your wallet that's been given to you, that if Liverpool win, you win some nice money.
Yeah, sadly, well, every Friday we go for lunch at Club Tab, and there's the usual Liverpool United arguments, banter, call it what you like. A good mate of mine, Bully, as he's called, younger, so they call him Bully, and he said Liverpool never lose at Anfield. It's invincible. So I went, all right, and you know what happened on the weekend? They
lost, yeah.
So the following week he came in, and everyone was waiting for him. He said, hey, you, shut up. Went, what? He went straight to the counter and had a bet. He said, this is for you. 2,800 to 200, Liverpool to win the Champions League. So I said to him, thanks for the ticket, but the highlight of this bet will be when I tear it up.
Yeah.
So the semi-final draw, we're all sitting at Club Tab, and Liverpool drew Roma. I thought, hang on, I better try and source this ticket, but it's faded. Anyway, yesterday we sat there and we spoke, so we've got the number. So
if it arrives, you got 2-8.
Yeah.
Are you shouting for them?
No. No, I'll sit and watch, enjoy the game, and whatever happens.
Listen, but it won't change your lot, but 2-8 can buy you a few
100%,
beers. 2-8
correct.
can buy you.
No
Before
doubt.
we get Stevie B on the line, that we're talking to him in a moment, let's talk about the Cup finals that went through, review with him. The South African one, Free State Stars, Maritzburg.
Yeah.
Maritzburg should have won in my book.
You know, they just got to the last third, Paul, and just took too long to get there. They were well-organised Free State Stars. They had all the possession, Maritzburg, but just that last third, Paul, didn't have much luck, and sad to say they got beat, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love them to have won.
Yeah.
The playoffs, how they're taking shape?
Well, they played last night. Jomo Cosmos have got 2 points. I think they've drawn both games. Platinum Stars have drawn one and lost one. They lost to Black Leopards. They've got 4 points. So they've both played 2 games. I think Black Leopards play Platinum Stars on Saturday. So big game coming up. They've all played 2 games, but Black Leopards got 4 points. Jomo 2, Platinum Stars 1.
Yeah, sure. So it's very, very interesting that.
Yeah.
And okay, how are we looking with Stevie B, guys? We got Stevie on the line. We'll put him through. Let's chat to Stevie. Stevie B, you there?
I am here. Good morning.
Morning, Steve.
Morning, Steve. Nice to get you on the line. It's a very edgy few days for you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's. I think every Fulham fan's nerves are shredded at the moment.
Well, we're not going to talk about them first. We've got another few things to discuss with you. And firstly, we're going to talk about the FA Cup final. And Budgies United were beaten by Chelsea. Bit of park in the bus, did you think?
I mean, the first half was very poor from United. I don't quite understand, the players they've got available, and they just really didn't get going. And Chelsea, got the goal. It was, the second half. I mean, United had all the pressure, but they didn't create that much. I mean, had 2 or 3 opportunities, but you couldn't really see when the goal was going to come. And Chelsea were quite happy to sit back and catch them on the break. And it's all very well Mourinho after the game saying they deserved to win, but ultimately they didn't. They didn't win. They didn't have that many really good chances. And I thought it was, it was it was probably slightly disappointing.
You know what was disappointing for me, Steve, was Pogba's header.
Yes, I mean, he really should have done that. He knew he should have done better from that. I mean, a player of his ability should be at least hitting the target from there.
Yeah, I just think there's a lack of creative players we got, Steve, and we need a number 9. Rashford is not a centre forward. He doesn't show the feet. His touch is bad. Lingard, all these kids, they can run around with the ball, but when you've got a tight defence, they were just lacking, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, Rashford is not a centre forward. I mean, he's much better coming in off the wing.
Yeah.
And I suspect, obviously, Lukaku didn't start. He's not 100% fit. And I think that Mourinho alluded to that, because I think he otherwise would have started and been his centre forward. But you're right. I think there will be quite a bit of change of personnel during the summer there. He's obviously not happy with some of the players he's got, and if they want to challenge City, they've got to up their game.
They certainly have to.
I think finishing second it's not a bad thing, but finishing second to City, I think for United is not acceptable.
Yeah, Steve, it's like toothache watching Man United. I've tried to defend Mourinho all season, but you can't defend him now. It's more he's into personal vendettas with people who have a go at him. it's time to shut up and let's play the United way. Let's have a go. We've got the best keeper in the world.
I mean, when you think of United teams in the past, whether they won things or didn't, even going back to the 70s and 80s, I mean, they played with a sort of verve and flair and and attacking football, and that's what the fans want to see. Obviously, success. I guess ultimately now it's all about winning something and getting into the Champions League year after year. But fans do want to see entertaining football. Grinding out sort of 1-0 wins is just not entertaining.
And also, I just think it's a smokescreen when you win the FA Cup. Look at Arsenal; they won 2 FA Cups in a row. The team went backwards. It didn't help them. I know the fans had bragging rights, but I think this is a blessing in disguise that we lost to Chelsea. Especially not winning
the FA Cup is no longer the competition it was, which is a shame because at one point it was, it was the dream of every player and every fan to go to Wembley and watch his team win the FA Cup, and that really was a big deal. But as I say, now you win the FA Cup, it doesn't get you into the Champions League. It might appease the fans for a short while, and as you say with Arsenal, missing out on the Champions League is it's not acceptable for them, for their fans. So winning the FA Cup was a nice day out for them the last couple of years, but that's all it was.
Stevie, there was another cup final, and they're using the VAR system. Budgie watched it. I didn't watch Eintracht Frankfurt play Bayern Munich, but they took a long time to deliberate, and that's not on.
No, well, I think this is, and they've been, they've had VAR system in Germany. I mean, they use that sort of more regularly than they do in the over here. But it's something that they're going to have to do, especially with the World Cup. The world will be watching, and if they are slow deliberations of VAR, they may get to the right result, but you don't want games, finishing 5 or 10 minutes later than they should. I think that's, with a worldwide audience, I think it's going to have to be seen to be working to make it effective.
Yeah, what I couldn't understand, the final was in Berlin, yet the VAR assistant was in Cologne. And, they gave the signal to go and have a look. And then obviously the assistant came back to him. And then the referee sprinted off. And he had a look at his own monitor. Now, it was just a nightmare. Players are standing around looking what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I think as well, one of the criticisms that they've had when they've introduced it here in the UK is that the fans don't know what's going on while this is happening.
Yeah.
So it's not as if even, for example, as you get in the NFL, the referees are sort of saying what's going on. I think fans want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Stevie,
everyone's standing around for 2 or 3 minutes waiting for some signal.
Stevie, but the bottom line with so much at stake, whether it be money, whether it be anything, you've got to get the right decisions. And the right decisions,
no, absolutely.
You've got to get, the system has its place, but it's got to be sped up. We introduced it in cricket.
I think it is important to get the right decision. I think that ultimately you don't want to have a huge game decided by mistake. On the other hand, the game has always been one of the attractions of football. Is that it's a fast-paced game that flows without too many interruptions.
Yeah.
So they've got to get the balance right, and they've got to find a way of sort of more instantaneous decisions, but the right decisions. So there's going to be a trade-off, and I think they'll get it right eventually. But it is still relatively new technology, so it's going to take a while.
Stevie, let's talk Premiership news. Budge has laid out some good news for me here that Arsenal got a new manager, Unai Emery. It's a wonderful first name, that. Manuel Pellegrini goes to West Ham and Wayne Rooney to DC United. What's your take on all three?
Well, just turning to West Ham, I mean, that's quite an interesting appointment because, I mean, they are... I think there's been a lot of criticism of the board the last couple of seasons at West Ham, and I think that they're taking a bit of a gamble. They've gone for a big name, paying him a lot of money, and one has to assume from what's coming out of the London Stadium that they're going to give him a healthy budget. More than they have either the last couple of managers. So I think that. I think they've been forced, really, because I think there's been a lot of fan unrest there. But it'll be interesting. I mean, obviously, being at West Ham would be a bit different when he was at Man City, but I think that he's got a lot of good pedigree. Unai Emery is a very interesting one. I mean, he's had a very good track record. He did very well at Valencia. Obviously, at PSG, he was always going to win, the French league, but he he didn't deliver the Champions League, and I think ultimately for the owners, that's all they're interested in. Winning the French League, winning the French Cup is really no big deal to them. It's the Champions League, and he didn't do that. But he's obviously got a good track record, and I guess for some of the candidates that are linked with Arsenal, he's probably as strong as they are.
Yeah, winning 3 Europa Leagues.
Wayne Rooney, well, I guess it's not an untrodden path. I mean, Lampard, Gerrard, Beckham have all gone to the States and done quite well. There's no reason for him not to. I mean, he could stay another year at Everton. I'm not sure what that would achieve. I don't think he'd be playing every week, so he might as well go, take his family, they're still young, go to Washington for a year or two and enjoy it, and enjoy his football.
Yeah, I agree.
Stevie, now we've got to talk Turkey. It's come to that stage, but before we talk about your team, we just want to talk about the Champions League final. Budgie, by default, has been given a bet by one of his friends and punters to win himself 2,800 on Liverpool. He doesn't know whether to tear it up or to take the winnings, but tough game. Be a great final.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it. Unfortunately, I may not see it because it starts not long after the playoff final finishes. But I mean, the Champions League final could go either way. I mean, I think it really depends on, if Liverpool are going to be brave and attack, which I think would be their best tactic. You don't want to sit back against Real Madrid.
Yeah.
But Madrid have been there. They've done it. They've won it so many times. As have Liverpool. But in recent years, Madrid just seem to know how to win these games. But I think it could be a fantastic game. Hopefully there'll be goals. The big names tend to rise to the occasion. Ronaldo tends to always have a sort of big game in these sort of matches. It'd be great to see Mo Salah score a goal or two. I mean, he's only 3 goals off Ian Rush's best ever season for Liverpool.
Yeah.
This is his last chance,
isn't it?
Isn't it?
Or not, but it's incredible, really.
Yeah, you think they can upset them?
I think if they're brave and they play like they did in that sort of spell against Roma in the first game, as they did against Man City, I think they're capable. I think they've just got to believe in themselves that Real Madrid are not invincible, and they've just got to go after them. I mean, we saw when we watched the Bayern Munich Real Madrid games that Bayern Munich, when they but for some good saves and missed chances, it could have been Munich in the final. I mean, and Munich have sort of. Really, I think as an attacking force, probably
you know what I found, Steve? What I found was a bit of a yardstick is the teams that Real Madrid knocked out: PSG, Juventus, and Bayern Munich. Those are big teams.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and it just shows. In spite of them struggling at times in La Liga a little bit, they do know how to raise their game in these Champions League games. And I think, they've got big game players, well, really big game players. And although Liverpool have had an exceptional season, a lot of their players have not been in that position. So, providing they don't freeze, I think Liverpool will give a good account of themselves. But the worry is that they will panic a bit, sit back, and I think then Madrid can tear into them. So I hope it's a good game. I hope it's a free-scoring game. And ultimately, it'll be wonderful for British football to come out on top. But my head says Madrid probably could still do it.
Yeah, I agree. I just think Liverpool's the 2 English guys, Milner and Henderson, have got to take their game with a scruff of the neck. Try and dictate it, because if Modric and Kroos and them start passing it around, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Madrid, and they're a team full of stars, and if they click on their day, they're exceptional. I think Liverpool, we've just got to hope that with pace they can run at the defence, get that ball through to the Salah where he wants it, sort of cut inside onto his left foot.
Yeah.
I think so. But I suspect they're going to mark Salah very tightly. I don't think.
Okay, Stevie, let's go on to the big one. Let's go on to your boys, Fulham. Going to Wembley, a one-off with Aston Villa. You both had good enough seasons. You finished 3rd. They got key players. You got key players. How's it look from your perspective?
Well, I think if you look at it in a cold light today, Villa have a very experienced team. Virtually every one of their starting 11, apart from the goalkeeper, is young, have played in big games, played at Wembley before, whether it's a cup final or a playoff final. Fulham are a very inexperienced team in that respect, and I think our hope is that they don't freeze. There's going to be a capacity crowd. It's a complete sellout. It's somewhere between 86 and 88,000. Huge atmosphere. But I think Fulham we know that what they're capable of this season. If they can play to their potential, I think the way the game is likely to go, and all two games this year have been very much Fulham have had close to 70% possession in both games, and Villa sort of sit back. And I think it's going to be a very warm day. So that might help if you've got the ball. I think it's you know yourself, Paul, much harder to be running around if you haven't got the ball. Takes a lot more out of you. So we'll see. I think the key for Fulham is to try and score first, because I think if Villa score first, they're going to be very hard to break down. It's such a huge game. I mean, it's easily one of the biggest games the club have ever played, because the stakes are so high. I mean, 160, 170 million to the winner over the next few years is just massive, and to get back into the top table is every championship team's dream.
Yeah, well, we definitely got our fingers crossed for you. We'll all be watching it. It's at 6 o'clock South African time.
5 o'clock UK time.
5 o'clock UK.
Yeah,
Stevie,
5
our
o'clock
fingers
UK.
our fingers are crossed, and we're completely with you. My brother-in-law Keith Hughes has been an Aston Villa fan for years. He'll be funking for them, but I'm with Fulham. Budge is with Fulham. You with Fulham, and let's hope for the best, Steve.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, it's going to be a wonderful day out, and losing is not an option. I think that's the I think the worry for Fulham fans, probably rightly, is that if we go up, then it's amazing. We've got a very wealthy chairman who went on record yesterday as saying, if we go up, we're not just going to. We're not going just to stay up. We're going to compete, and he's got the money to back the club. If you lose, we know that we will lose the crown jewels, because we've got players that all the big teams want to go. You can't you can't stop somebody like Ryan Sessegnon playing at the highest level. So that's long. But I think the thing is they're just going to go out and do themselves justice, play as they can do.
Is Daniel going with you? Is your son going with you?
Yeah, Daniel will be there. Not sitting with me, he's sitting elsewhere. But
He'll be with all the screamers and the dopers.
No, I've been waiting 43 years to get back to see us at Wembley, so there's a group of us doing it in style. We're going to be there when it opens, and for the old champagne reception and prawn sandwich, so looking forward to that.
Stevie B, the man you can't boot, shoot or electrocute. Thanks, Stevie. Thanks very much. We'll speak to you next week.
Absolutely. Well, let's hope we're swapping some Get On theirs.
Good man. All the best, Steve.
All right. Take care.
Cheers,
Bye, Budge.
Steve. Take it easy.
Oh, exciting times for Budge.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. They'll go early, drink champagne, have sandwiches, and his
it's
son.
amazing what it means. I remember the first FA Cup final when it went back to Wembley from Cardiff, 2007. Swivel and I were at the semi-final at Villa Park. United played Watford. We won 4-2. And I remember walking out the ground, and you could the enthusiasm from the United fans just so they're going back to Wembley. So for Fulham to go back to Wembley in a big game like this, it's brilliant for the fans.
Yeah, brilliant, absolutely. Well, I'd really hope they win, but we've got to do a little bit of gambling here. Track and ball, let's get some money from them, Budge. And you've got to have a look at these Swedish teams now. They've got me in the dark, and I'm going to...
Well, we caught the one last week, Paul.
Yeah,
thankfully.
You got it right. Thankfully, you got that right. I'm going to ask you about the games. I think we're going to put up the list here, the Swedish league. And funny enough, this time last year we started getting into a pattern where we found out who could play or not. Now, these are the prices, firstly, of the
finals.
Paul,
what
would you take?
If I was going to have a bet on either, I wouldn't take 2-1 Liverpool to win in 90 minutes. It's 28-10 Liverpool to win and over 2.5 total goals. So I would look, because I cannot see
total goals includes extra time?
No, only 90 minutes. That's the only thing.
Okay,
but if you have a look at both teams, their worst players. And I was sitting with Bali and the boys yesterday. I said, who's Liverpool's worst player? Without any shadow of doubt, the chorus came, Lovren. I said, and the second worst player, they said the goalkeeper. You look at Real Madrid's worst player, Keylor Navas in goals, terrible. Yeah. There has to be goals, Paul.
Yeah.
So 2-1. I would take the easy way out and back Liverpool outright to win the cup. But I think there'll be goals.
I think I've put a ticket in your pockets.
Ticket in the pockets, it's still vibrating. But great game. Both teams to score. I think it's 4.5, 5-10.
I'm pleased Fulham are shorter priced because
they
deserve
to be.
They deserve to be, and they're a good side.
Well, they had a bit of luck in the last day, Paul. If they'd won their last game, they would have gone up. And he lost one of the last 23. Aston Villa are a negative team. But, you know, John Terry, Steve Bruce, experienced campaigners.
But they're also time-up campaigners.
Yeah.
And not so much Bruce, he's the manager, but John Terry has been a great servant, a respected man in the industry. But these Latis coming at him, they're going to make him think. Session's a very good player. If they don't go up, they can't keep him.
No, he's gone. I fancy Fulham with the two teams, Paul.
And I just hope the striker doesn't...
Mitrovic. He can throw his toys out the cot.
The red mist comes down him, but he can play.
No, he can score.
All right, so those are the finals. We're funking for Liverpool and Fulham. Let's go on to Budge. I couldn't hardly pronounce some of these names.
Stockholm against Norrköping now. Stockholm going well. The last 11 home games, they've won 8 and drawn 3. They're unbeaten in 23.
Is that not a good bet, 12 to 10 then?
Yeah, that's 12 to 10. The only thing is the team they're playing is a good team. They're third, Norrköping.
So second versus third.
It should be ARK, but ARK Stockholm and the draw looks certainty there. Now, Ostersunds is the guy who they got to Europa League. Steve Potter's cousin, Graham Potter. He's the coach. Jekyll and Hyde team, but 15 to 10 is a big price at home. They won in midweek. You know, Ostersunds in a draw for me, but 15 to 10 Ostersunds is a good price.
Okay.
You know, GIF, Sundsvall, RK Gothenburg, there's goals are plenty in this
11
game.
plays 10.
Yeah, they're both good at home, Sundsvall. Gothenburg away aren't too clever, but they do score plenty of goals.
Have they still got teams with the artificial surfaces?
Yeah, they're still playing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's two of them that are. You know, Malmo were the champions last year. They got beaten in the Swedish Cup
Champions
final.
last year?
Champions in Sweden.
They're ninth now.
They're struggling. They've lost a few players. That Christensen is at Chelsea.
Yeah.
They've lost a few players, but they should be too good for Dalkurd. They've lost all 6 away from home.
They're 4 to 10, eh?
They look the banker in that in the Allsvenskan. The second page, Kalmar Hammarby. Now Hammarby are top of the league. They've played 10 games. They've won 8. You know, Kalmar good form. This is a tight game, Paul. You know, Hammarby in the draw for me on that one. Now Sirius are second bottom. They're playing a Djurgårdens team who won the Swedish Cup. They beat Malmo 3-0 in the final. They've won the last 2 games, 6 to 10. That alongside Malmo. Those are the 2 bankers for the weekend in the Swedish league. Elfsborg, Trelleborg, 2 teams that are struggling. Only reason why they can be favoured is they're at home. A draw, a big player there for me, Paul, 27 to 10. And the team I keep reminding everybody, the biggest club in the world, Broma Pochkana, playing Orebro. Orebro for me, win and draw there, Paul. 5 to 2, likewise, a big price, you know. But Orebro of the 2 teams.
Okie dokie. Now, MLS, we're starting to get to know a few players in there, but so tell us about... they've still got the 2 conferences.
2 conferences, Eastern and West, and they have the playoffs and the winners meet in the final. Now, Seattle have only scored 7 goals in their 9 league games. They face a real Salt Lake team. I think have lost their last 5 away from home. The bet there is under 2.5 goals, but I think it's 6 to 10. I wouldn't take Seattle 6 to 10, Paul.
Yeah.
I'd go Seattle win and draw at home against Real Salt Lake. Vancouver have only lost 1 of the last 15 home games.
Wow.
But New England, Jekyll and Hyde team away from home. They're in good form, but away from home, they tend to struggle. So Vancouver in the draw for me in the second game. Now the New York Red Bulls murdered Atlanta. They were in one of our bets last week. They beat them 4-2 away from home. The big centre forward, Bradley Wright Phillips, he was at West Ham. He's the main man there.
Did he ever play at Man City?
Yes, he was there.
And is he a son of...
I think he is Ian Wright. There was another, was a shorter winger too.
There was a Man City.
He's a centre forward. This Wright Phillips, a big centre forward.
Yeah, he's a bulky
top
lad.
goal scorer in the Eastern Conference anyway, and they should be too good there, Paul. Should beat Philadelphia Union, who can't win away from home. I think they've won 1 of the last 18. Orlando City, remember the Brazilian Kaká? He was there for a while.
One of the world's best players in his day.
So he retired. Jekyll and Hyde team, you know, hard to beat in Orlando because it's boiling. Chicago Fire cost us our 6 on Exeter last week. Bastian Schweinsteiger had a nightmare. They were 2-1 up, gave a penalty, ended up losing to Houston. Got a fancy Orlando, but I think there'll be plenty of goals in that game, Paul. Second page, there's Minnesota, known as the Loons. Don't ask me where they got that name.
They're probably a bunch of players who can weave.
But good home form, but they're playing a Montreal Impact team. Last 10 away games, they've lost 9.
Oh.
So you got to fancy
even
Minnesota.
Money Minnesota.
Now Colorado, Portland Timbers, 2 teams with completely different form. Colorado have lost their last 5.
Wow.
Portland have won their last 5, but most of the games they've won have been at home. So of the 2 teams, you've got to fancy Portland, but you know,
the thing is, in
draw
America,
a big
you
player.
can travel a good distance to a game.
Well, Colorado, Denver, the distance I don't know, but I'd imagine they'd lead the day before. Now, Los Angeles should be too good at home.
Is this where our friend's going, DC?
No, DC, Wayne Rooney's going there. Struggle away from home. Got to fancy Los Angeles to beat DC United. And Sporting Kansas City, they're the top of the Western Conference. Be a good game, but Columbus Crew are in form, but they've only scored 1 goal in the last 5 away league games.
Wow.
So you got to fancy Sporting Kansas City on that game, Paul, 8 to 10 in our bets.
I'll soon get the hang of it after a few weeks.
Yeah.
Let me see how you're going with your soccer six.
The soccer exotics, the soccer six. I've gone ARK win and draw at home against Norrköping. I've gone Årgård to top of the Swedish Superettan. That's the league below, like the championship in Sweden. Brazier going well at home, but Årgård I don't see them getting beat. I fancy Fulham are the 2 teams, obviously a tight game, but I've gone Fulham win and draw against Aston Villa. Östersund's Jekyll and Hyde team in Sweden. I've gone win and draw Östersund's against Häcken.
You like that term, Jekyll and Hyde? It's become your new mantra.
New mantra, yeah. Especially when you put your money on it. One week they win, the next week they get beat. Talk about hard. But Vålerenga, it's a Norwegian game, going well at home. Lillestrøm struggling away from home. So I've banked Vålerenga to beat them. Now I've gone 1-3 Real Madrid, Liverpool.
90 minutes.
90 minutes. I just don't see it being a draw, Paul. It's going to be end to end.
At some stage it'll start to draw, and at some stage if there's a lot of goals, it might be a draw.
But I've taken the chance. Obviously, you want to throw the draw in or go Real Madrid in the draw. I just think either of the team will win in 90 minutes. So that was our first soccer six at 192. The American one, I've gone Seattle Sounders win and draw at home against Real Salt Lake. Vancouver Whitecaps win and draw against the New England Revolution. I've banked the New York Red Bulls to beat Philadelphia. I've had to look for a couple of upsets, so I've gone Orlando City against Chicago Fire. I've banked the Loons of Minnesota United to beat Montreal, and I've gone the field, Colorado Portland.
I wonder if Trevor Denman supports Minnesota. His farm's out there.
Is he?
I must ask him if he supports the Looms.
Okay. The soccer 10, I've gone ARK win and draw at Norrköping. I've gone RK Bray. I've gone Årgård win and draw at Braige. I've gone the field with Aston Villa and Fulham. I've gone Östersund's win and draw against Häcken. I've banked Vålerenga to beat Lillestrøm. Second, I've gone 1-3 again, Real Madrid and Liverpool. I've gone the last 4 are Brazilian Serie B games. Where they found these teams, I don't know. I've gone Londrina win and draw at Brasil de Pelotas. I've gone Goiás win and draw against Boa. I've banked Sao Bento.
Is that Portuguese league?
No, it's Brazil Serie
Boa,
B. Boa, I've banked Sao Bento going well at home to beat Juventude. And I've gone Girona to beat CRB.
Never heard of these teams.
Serie B, Paul.
Okay, they love the teams they throw in. And
this is the Swedish, so if you want teams they throw in, have a look at this one. Yeah, that's the Swedish Soccer 13. Again, I've gone Real Madrid and Liverpool, either way, 1-3. I've gone ARK, win and draw at home against Norrköping. Östersund's win and draw at home against Häcken. I've gone Årgård to top of the Swedish Superettan, win and draw at Braige. I've gone Acropolis, win and draw at BK Forward. I've banked Syrianska to beat Nyköpings. I've gone Oskarshamns win to beat at Sigtuna at home. Second page, I've got banked Tobacos who are going well at home against Angel Homes. Orebro win and draw at Bromma-Pochkana. These are Sunday games, the last 5. GIF Sundsvall win and draw at home against IFK Gothenburg. I've gone lead Liga's Hammarby to avoid defeat at Kalmar. I've banked Malmo to beat Dalkurd, and I've banked Djurgårdens to beat Sirius, 384.
Okie dokie, let's go to the bets. Okay,
I've had to have a bit of imagination. I've gone both teams to score. I wanted to do the over 2.5 goals in the Liverpool game and 2 goal scorers at value, but they wouldn't give me the bet. So I went both teams to score.
Milner to score.
I think he takes the penalties. And I looked at that. Last week we went for Sanchez to get a penalty. Meanwhile, who got the penalty? It was the Chelsea guy.
Yeah.
But, I looked at value. It was just under 8 to 1. Salah's 8 to 10. The rest of them were 12 to 10. I didn't think there was value. So I've gone James Milner. So it worked out at 16 to 1. The other guy, Ramos, has scored in the last 2 Champions League finals. He's good coming up to corners. And Leuven will more than likely be marking him, so he'll get a free header. And obviously both teams to score, Aston Villa, Fulham. So that worked out 2,200 to 200.
Okay, on we go.
The Swedish quartet, I've gone Djurgårdens to beat Sirius. I've gone Malmo to beat Dalkurd by more than 1 goal. And I've gone over 2.5 goals in the GIF Sundsvall, IFK Gothenburg, and Östersund's Häcken game. Just worked out 10.5 to 1, 2,100 to 200. Now the American MLS quartet or quad, I've gone Minnesota to beat Montreal. I've gone Sporting Kansas City to beat Columbus. I've gone Los Angeles FC to beat DC United, and the New York Red Bulls to beat Philadelphia by more than 1 goal.
Okay.
2,400 to 200. I've gone Brazilian Fava. I've gone, it's never easy, but the home teams, Paul.
Yeah, they're hard to beat.
Massive favourites in Brazil. I've gone Botafogo to beat Vitória Bahia. I've gone Fluminense to beat Chapecoense. I've gone Palmeiras at home to beat Sport Recife by more than 1 goal. I've gone Corinthians win and draw against Internacional, and I've gone Vasco da Gama, the Admirals, to get a good result at Bahia. 3,500.
What are they called, the Admirals?
The Admiral, Vasco da Gama. Yeah.
Great restaurant in Cape Town.
Yeah, you're right. And
Okay.
6 on extra, I've
Carlos
gone
King, yeah.
Malmo to beat Dalkurd, Djurgardens to beat Sirius, New York Red Bulls to beat the Philadelphia Union, the Los Angeles FC to beat Wayne Rooney's new team, DC United, Palmeiras to beat Sport Recife, and Botafogo to beat Vitória Bahia, 2,700 to 200.
Well, we got one last week. Let's get another one this week, Budge.
Yep.
But everything hinges off, obviously, those 2 major finals.
Champions League, yeah.
Yeah, and that championship.
Yeah, let's
playoff.
hope for Stevie B. I know
Yeah.
several. I know Alistair Cohen. I watched up Alistair. He's a big Villa fan. I said, "Are you going to the game?" He said, "No, I'm going to the first Premier League game next year." So
So you're not supporting them next year?
yeah, so good
Well,
luck to
we've got
the
to
people.
admire his confidence.
No,
Remember,
he's,
it's called the folly of youth.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens. But that wraps us up this week.
Yep.
Great to speak to Stevie B in
Yeah,
the
shame
UK.
he's under pressure.
And he's under a lot of pressure. And that's all for this week. Stay on side.